We are, and we are responsible for peace. We are, each one of us, right?
Yeah.
All of us have a thread. All of us have this frequency that build a tapestry together, that we weave this world into being. And, people talk a lot about what's going on in the world, but the truth is it is true. We can think global, but we have to act local, right? We
Yeah.
have to understand what's going on in our own country, in our own communities, and who needs us here before we
Honor.
put our special cap on and go elsewhere. And again, my opinion only, I think what you're doing is spectacular. So, and I hope a lot of people are tuning in today and drawing in support of this, but I really want to understand about the fundraising that you're doing now with your Children's Hour campaign, because this just doesn't come from out of the sky. And so
No.
when you draw, you also remember, everybody here, you just imagine peace and gratitude, peace and gratitude. And then you'll see more of it, because that's how it works. The brain starts to look for it in the outer world.
Yeah.
Spirit then, or the universe, matches it. Hey, everybody, it's Colette Baron-Reid. I have a very special guest today. This is kind of like a special podcast from the inside the Wooniverse. I got Connie Deletti here. Yay. Who's and when I was asked to do this, it was such an important day I want to talk about. It's about World Children's Day. And we all know how important it is. Our kids need to be fed, they need to be supported, they need to be celebrated. And this is a really important day. So, of course, now I don't have kids, I have dogs. But had I had kids, but all my friends have kids. And I just think it's such an important day. And also there's a campaign that goes along with it. So it's a really important charity that I want to support. So here's what we're going to do today. I've got this amazing guy right here. So handsome. Look at him. Anyway, his name is Daniel Germain. Did I get your name right?
Close enough.
Hi, Daniel. I know. He is the founder of something that's so important. It's called the Breakfast Club of Canada. And he now leads the voice for World's Children's Day. I'm reading this, obviously, you guys, right? And it's campaign Children's Hour. So cool. Now, if you are seeing this on my channel, obviously you would be welcome. But if my face looks new to you and you're on maybe Daniel's channel, let me tell you a little bit more about me and what our intention is today. So, our intention today is to come together in conversation in honor of World Children's Day and to shine a light on the incredible work Daniel and his team are doing for kids everywhere. I'm an author with Hay House. I have 26 products
Wow.
worldwide. But most importantly, I am the author of the new best-selling book, The Art of Manifesting. And that came out in September and was number 7 on the Globe and Mail. Yay, me! So we're going to blend this a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about the process. This went, how do I do this? Yep. It went dark. A bit about the process and how we can bring in the state of extraordinary gratitude, immersing ourselves in that feeling state as we talk about this important day. So before we dive in, I want to encourage you to get a couple of supplies so you can join in the drawing fun. We're going to doodle together, okay? Don't get too worried. Just because it says art, you don't have to be an artist. I happen to have a round piece of paper. You can have a square
I
piece.
do too. I do too.
Yeah, yes, we both have our little papers. And a pen, right? That's it. And all you're going to need is, blank piece of paper or your favorite sketchbook, whatever it is. And or thin. It needs to be thin pencil or thin marker. And while you do that, I want to begin our conversation. Most of you don't know, if you're on Daniel's channel, you don't know that I have 19 Oracle card decks on the market, and I have sold over 2 million copies worldwide. I was in the music
Wow.
business, so I consider that this is my platinum album that I didn't get when I was in that one. But apparently I got this one. So I'm going to pull a card, and what the cards are, they're really a theme to consider. So what could we all reflect on today while we support this really important mission of Daniel's and of the world, right? So and for all of the kids of the world. Yeah, so it's about new life. So and another card called Not For You. So here is two very different ideas to reflect on. Not For You requires us to be discerning, right? So it asks us to say, do I really need to always be online? Do I really need to have so much stuff? Do I really need to hoard, etc.? Because a lot of people do, right? Or can I be more open and generous and what is important and what is not so important, right? Like it's really asking us to separate out what is really important to us and what is not important to us, and to really question, why certain things are the way they are. So then new life comes when we do that. And new life is all about, giving, and it's all about supporting, and it's about giving birth to something and celebrating something new. Kids are like, these new life kids. I mean, kids are the new life of our entire world. Children are the new life. And so, when they don't know the next step, when they depend on us to show them. And so, kids knowing that they're going to have breakfast every day, knowing they're going to be fed, knowing that they're going to be clothed, the simplest things, believe it or not, even in our own country, is not there for some kids, right? And I think it's so important for us to acknowledge that and to realize that, whoa, we can't put our head in the sand and think that it's always great because our country is so great. No, we have to be really aware that there are many children that rely on this.
Or 48 million breakfast served, I think.
Breakfast served. Well,
Yeah, because in the
48 million breakfast
Over
served.
500,000 kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's a lot
yeah.
of, that's a lot of kids,
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of
still a
food.
lot of
It's a lot.
it's still a
Okay.
lot of food.
So you know what?
We're the biggest breakfast restaurant in Canada by far.
So first, what I'd like us to do, all of us, and to start something while we listen to Daniel. So I'm going to set you all up for success for your drawing. And so the point of us doing a drawing is to allow our imaginations to enter into a relationship with the universe. So everything is symbolic. We make meaning, right? When something means something. So this piece of paper that you have, one I have, and that Daniel has, that we're going to draw on, we wanted to represent something bigger than just a blank piece of something. We wanted to represent the potential of the whole universe. And the way we do that is to rub our hands together. And this, by the way, is a Qigong exercise. I've learned it two places. One, Robert Peng, who is an American, an incredible, he was in America. He's not American, but he's a Qigong master. And when I became a Reiki master, my Reiki master who initiated me taught me about this. So this is called Qi, or life force energy. And when we do this, we notice there's some friction, and we want to do this with our hands first, right? So we're going to start to do this just a little bit until we feel a push between our hands. And Daniel, you tell me when you feel that push or that.
I feel it here.
Right? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once you feel it, I'm going to show you this. Then what we want to do is push it into the page. So yours will be on a table, but I'm going to show you this. So this is about as far as your hand should be. Both hands will be on there, and you're going to push it. And in your imagination, you're going to say, as I put this life force energy onto this page,
put this.
Yeah, you put it right on there. And you should feel a little bit of tingling in your hands, Daniel.
Yeah.
Or some even temperature change. Do you notice anything, or sometimes not?
Yeah, I feel something. I feel the same thing when I was my hand like that.
Good. Okay, you're doing it right. Perfect. Then what you do is you say you're activating this paper by making it mean that the paper now represents the potential of the whole universe. Okay, so that's what it represents. So now it's a symbol. So we're going to activate that. And how we do that is we're going to set an intention. And I think our intention for today is to get as much information out there about this wonderful, important day, and to bring in as much support for the campaign. So that's our intention. And so we're going to, how we draw the intention is with a dot. And I'll draw it first and show you what it looks like. And it should be like no bigger than a dime.
Okay, in the middle.
In the middle, yeah.
Okay.
So once you have your dot, you're going to stare at it. Yes, thank you, Daniel. You're going to stare at the dot. Now, you are going to now recognize that you have placed in your intention in the field of potential. This is what we're doing. So imagine that now you're just stare at your dot and notice what happens. You allow your eyes to become soft and just notice what happens around the dot. And I'll wait for you to say, Daniel.
Well, I see part of it around the dot.
Yeah. You see some light?
Yes.
Does it move?
Yes.
Right? That's there. And what else does it do?
It moves, it grows on some side,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
reduce,
Yeah. So
then
it can move all over the page. And so why did we do that? So we recognize now, and we did something to our brains, by the way. So we taught ourselves to recognize what was invisible now becomes visible. And that's the point of this. Now inside our brain, something just clicked. So the reticular activating system of our brain, there is brain science behind this, brain plasticity. It starts to now look for that what was invisible now to become visible. So we now want to represent something else. So the intention needs to be gratitude. So we're going to say thank you in advance for this being true. All right, all that support that's going to pour into this incredible, most amazing campaign. And how we do it is by drawing lines. I'll do them first, and then you'll do them. These are called frequency lines, and you're going to just draw 4 of them for now. And they're
okay.
right, they're going to be wavy, they're not going to make sense, they're going to go wherever you want, they're just flow. So you just feel the flow attaching to gratitude, and those lines are how we communicate with the universe. They're called frequency lines. Perfect, exactly. So that those lines are communication. Now we're like radios. We broadcast to the universe. This is quantum physics. We're broadcasting all the time, whatever it is that's an elevated emotion or something that we repeat to that universe. And then it responds to us, right? It always is doing that. So we're going to draw, oopsie, we're going to draw this way. We're going to take a line coming back saying the universe listens to us and says, I hear you. I hear this gratitude, and I'm going to show you what the correspondence is. Right back. So again, this is a symbol of right, perfect, of how we communicate with the universe. Now, okay, so here it is. What does it mean? So we're going to actually step through a portal. So I'm going to draw a door, and my door in this case is going to be like this. And if you see the door,
Yeah.
so you're going to draw a door around right there. And using, let me see yours. Let's see the door. Perfect. Perfect, Daniel. I love it. So what we want to do, all of us, is step through the door because we're on this side of the door and the universe is going to answer us on that side of the door. So imagine yourself stepping through that door into this gratitude. Now, how do we activate gratitude? Well, we say thank you in advance, the law of praise, by drawing circles. So at this point, we're just going to go round and round, and I'll do it first. So first, I do circles inside the door for everything that I already know. And I'm just saying thank you, thank you. And if you have trouble imagining what gratitude feels like, and you think, well, it feels kind of weird to say thank you in advance to something, yeah, thank you. That's okay, because if you have a memory of, if you've ever had a kid, Daniel, have you had children?
I have 3 kids.
Okay, so remember when you saw that first baby and you smelled its head and you made eye contact? Did you not feel the most extraordinary awe and gratitude in the whole world? Right?
Yes and no. I felt scared because she had a cone head,
She had a
kind
cone
of.
head.
So
Okay, which
yeah,
one did you feel? Okay, never mind. That's a bad idea then. Forget that one.
no, 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 no. But I did feel gratitude in each of them because it's a miracle that it's
It's a
incredible.
miracle.
But I
So
was a man who was
you're a
just
man.
want to make sure that everything was perfect, and then
Oh, that's right.
you
I
get scared of
forgot.
anything, any detail.
Okay, well, that if don't think about fear, okay, that's not going to help
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
We want to imagine, like for me, I never had kids, so I think about when I rescue a dog and I smell that dog's breath for the first time and I look into his eyes and I know, oh, this most amazing experience is happening right here. So any one of us has that one moment, even maybe when you went out into nature and you were in awe of a sunrise or a sunset.
Yeah.
I just want you to rehearse that feeling. And that's what we want to do. We just want to draw the circles. Like, here's the circles I've already drawn. This is already everything I've already have because I
Okay.
have so much. But what we want to say thank you for is what hasn't come in yet, right? Which is all
Yes.
this, right? The surprises that the universe has, the sense of like synchronicities and meaningful coincidences that will bring us the support that we need for this campaign, for example. Now, if you're at home doing this, maybe you want to have a different thing that you want to focus on, like, peaceful, opportunities, etc. You can basically be thankful in advance for anything. But what I'm here to do today is be thankful in advance for Daniel's wonderful cause. So this is what it should look like. And then you just keep going around. So while you're
Yeah.
watching this, I want you to keep going, but Daniel and I are going to have a conversation now because I don't know if it's going to be like Daniel, like patting your stomach and round and rubbing your head at the same time when you're drawing. So, or maybe you can, and I'm going to ask you questions. So
Yes.
maybe you can just do this. Okay. So what inspired you to create the Breakfast Club of Canada? I want to know all about it.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I'm 61 years old. So the younger version of Daniel was a difficult kid, raised in foster home for a while, very troubled in high school, and end up in jail in New York at 23. And I think at that time I was scared that I've commit the 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 mistake, the too many mistakes that would jeopardize the mistake that would jeopardize the rest of my life. And
Mhm.
through a circumstance and negotiation, I got out of the US. I was not able to go back for 29 years till uh, Prime Minister Trudeau and Obama helped me with a pardon and stuff. But when I got out, I wanted to change. And
Mhm.
to not to go too much detail, I went to a mission trip to Mexico City, working with kids in the dump, in the sewer. In the dumps, there was 50,000 kids living there.
Wow.
And on that day, I was ashamed. I was ashamed of what we've done or not done.
Yeah.
And all my youth had this anger inside of me, and it's almost instantly that anger became an anger of justice. It
Hmm.
changed, it transformed. It was no longer violence or that anger of violence, but that anger of justice.
Right.
And
Different.
yeah, and even though I had nothing to give, I say in my mind, in my heart, I'm gonna fight for those kids for the rest of my life. And like I said, little that they knew, I had nothing, nothing. And so I went back home, started organizing a trip with 25, 50, 100 people, doctor, dentists, and nurses and teacher and everything to help kids in Mexico City. And then I start working in Haiti as well. And at one point, this question came inside me and say, uh, are you willing to give the rest of your life for that? I knew I wanted to give my rest of my life for children, but do you want to do this in Mexico and Haiti? And when I thought about it, the answer was, that's not what I want. That's not the way I want to start. I went to a conference in Vancouver, and there was this tremendous speaker. Her name is Jackie Pullinger. She was a radical, like very radical, very passionate, but on a mission.
Hmm.
And so there was 10,000 people, and I knew I could get to her. There were too many people, so
Yep.
I followed her to
Yeah.
her hotel
Oh boy.
lobby, to her hotel lobby,
That might have been
and
scary.
and I say, Jackie, can I ask you a question? And she turned, and she's kind of intense. And I said, I've worked with kids in Mexico City, in Haiti. And she said, no, 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 no. Tell me what you're doing at home. Oh,
Yes.
I said that must be the accent, or
Uh,
I'm not doing anything. So like a big fish, I jumped into her net where, she was waiting for me right there. And she
yep.
said, it's funny, Daniel, because I always thought it was impossible to have a vision for the world if you don't have a vision for your own.
Oh,
She
I
turned
love this.
around, she turned
Hmm.
around and left. So I'm there. So I'm flying back to Montreal, and I'm really pissed off. I'm sorry about,
No, it's good.
I'm this
You can swear.
I'm pissed off at her, and I said, who does she think she is? So obviously that truth starts sinking deep
Triggered
down
you.
inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came back home, and the people who were used to work with me, travel with me in short-term program and mission and stuff. I asked them, I said, we need to do something at home. And I need two ingredients. First, I want to work with kids. And second, I want the option of changing something.
Oh,
Because
that's
when you have
important.
the option of changing
Yeah.
something, then it's up to you to find
Mhm.
the last great idea, to work harder than anybody, and to make it happen. So we decide to serve breakfast in one school, South Shore of Montreal, November 1st, 1994.
Wow.
And I got there. There's hundreds of kids coming to the breakfast program, and I'm scared. Like I'm scared of all of them. I'm not used to try to control 100 kids. They're out of control. They don't sit down when you tell them. So I said to the young woman who was working with me, I said, okay, you'll be in charge of the program. I'll go get funding. But so we start one school, and at one point there was a news anchor from Montreal who called me and he said, Daniel, I want to help what you're doing. I only had like maybe three program by then at that time. And but I said, I need to tell you my story first because I don't want the journalist to tell my story. So I
Right.
went to
Yeah.
see him and I told him my
Mhm.
story. And I said, you still want to help me? And his name is Jean-Luc Mongrain. And he said, even more. So we did
Right.
a TV show, and
That's
there's a play on word in French, pour des matins sans fin. It's for morning without ending. But in French, it's a play on word. Fin, it means hungry, but fin means the
yeah.
end too, the end.
Right.
So it's
Uh-huh.
a play on word. So he interviewed me. So I did my coming out, or this is what I did. This would, you know, and then this is what I want to do from this point on. And people love underdog, and they really bought into the story, but to the mission too.
Yeah.
And I've always said when it makes sense, people get in, and so we start with 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, and now we have more than 3,000 program across Canada from coast to coast to coast, feeding. The number changed, but let's say more than 750,000 kids every day in this country.
That's
Working with great partners and stuff. So it's an incredible journey, not an easy one. It's a big
no.
country, not much population compared to
Yeah.
our friend from the south, but a big country. And throughout that time, I felt that I was on a path of destiny,
Hmm.
where I look a lot more intelligent than I am. But but stuff happened, and
You
then
know
people
what?
were go ahead,
I'm going to interrupt you here because I
go.
believe what you were called. See, I believe that when you are inspired, doesn't matter how far down the scale you have gone, right? Everybody has a purpose in this life, and you turned your life around and you were called. And so when you're inspired, it means of the spirit, right? It is a spiritual calling. And so in it, it never says, oh, it's going to be easy. That's not the point. It means you have to answer it, and when you answer it, it's like all manner of miracles can happen and trials and tribulations, and you have to
Yeah,
change and become the person that actually can do these things, and I'm sure.
absolutely. Lots of step of faith because there's a lot of crossroad on that path, and you
Hmm.
can deviate, you know,
That's
because
life.
yeah, exactly. And because at one point you think you're more intelligent than you are the reason for all of this, which is not the case,
That's
you
not at
know,
all. Like my whole career, everything I teach is all about that we're in partnership with the universe or God. I mean, seriously, I have no problem with the word God, but if I use universe, it's a little bit more, less
general.
triggering for people who have an issue with religion. But I
Yeah,
know that the synchronicities that show up to present back to me the next step to take on the journey and see this unfold wasn't by my generated good ideas. My
no,
best ideas are received. They are gifts that I receive that then I act on, but we have to act, right? I think that's what the not for you card was really about, reflecting on, are we acting or are we not? I love
yeah.
your story about being at home, right?
Yeah,
Like, what are you
and
doing at home?
it's been a journey where, I receive a lot of honor, which, the Order of Quebec, the Order of Canada. But one time, if you allow me for 2 minutes, but I received
Sure.
the Medal of Peace, and they announced that to you in June, and then you receive it in November. But that whole summer, I was saying, who would have thought, like me?
Hmm.
I'm going to receive the Medal of Peace. So when I went to receive the Medal of Peace, there's 500
It's gonna make me
people
cry.
from the YMCA. And I said, for the first 23 years of my life, I was not in peace, you know. And I start telling what I did. And I said, you still have the chance to change your mind if you want. But if you listen to me a bit more, it becomes better. So then I learned the importance of peace, the importance of bringing peace, the privilege of bringing peace,
Yeah, the
and
privilege.
it's been maybe the most significant thing I receive. And I shouldn't say that. Can you imagine that now I'm on the board of the Order of Canada, the advisory board of the Order of Canada,
Yes,
helping
I can. Yes,
choosing
I can.
the
I can
next
believe
one,
it.
that the next people will receive it. And the chairman is the Chief Justice of Canada, and he's from Quebec. And sometimes I laugh with him
Because there you
talking about,
were.
here I am. So the underdog, no high school diploma. Well, it's not true. I did a conference in BC, and at the end, the school director said, Daniel, I have the power to give you high school diploma. It was all this set up. There was
Oh my
500
God.
kids. They opened the curtain behind. They had the tug, I don't know you called it in English.
Great story.
And I graduated that June with all the other students
Can
from
I
that
can
high
I just
school.
say this? What this is a lesson for everybody of my people that are watching this is an example, is when you step into a life you didn't plan, that just called to you and allowed yourself to be changed each step of the way, and stepping into service. And yes, nobody is perfect, etc., but this is what happens when you give yourself over to the service of God, the universe, whatever calls you forward. And it could be anything, but this
Yeah.
is yours,
Yes.
and that your past life is a story that, there's I actually don't have the same story, but just in a nutshell, for the people who know me, they know I'm 40 years clean and sober almost at the time of this. In a month and a half, I will be. So when I got clean
Good
and
for you.
sober, I was 27, and I was a drug addict, and I had all this. I have quite a story too. So when I hear you, and in my life, I turned my life around too, because I said, I will serve, use me in whatever way. And PS, I have an idea what I want, but didn't go that way. So, and I
Yeah.
ended up doing this. So
Yeah.
I believe anybody can turn their life around and make something beautiful of it. You just happen to be
Absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
shining example.
When I gave a conference, I always said that we all have the responsibility of writing our part of history with
That's
a big
right.
H, with a big H, not the
Big
small
H.
one. We
No,
want
no,
to
I
be
know.
humble. I tremble like that, thinking I would have passed by the life that life had for me.
Right?
I remember my life was not perfect. My love story on a personal note was not perfect. I got
Yeah.
married twice, divorced twice, and I've learned. I stopped drinking 5 years coming in
Ah,
April. Yeah.
Wow,
And
good.
just because, I needed to be a better person all the
Yep,
time. And my personal relationship were tough. And
yeah,
a lot because of me,
yep,
because
of
of
course.
I needed to learn, or I needed to stop. I needed to be, more transparent on my stuff. But life, God, universe,
Yep,
they've been so faithful through
yes.
all of that time.
So
And,
I'm going
and
to
go
interrupt you
ahead.
right here because I want to go back
Go,
to the
go.
drawing. So
Sure.
Daniel brought up something really important that we are responsible for peace. We are, each one of us, right?
Yeah.
All of us have a thread. All of us have this frequency that build a tapestry together, that we weave this world into being. And people talk a lot about what's going on in the world, but the truth is it is true. We can think global, but we have to act local, right? We
Yeah.
have to understand what's going on in our own country, in our own communities, and who needs us here before we,
Wanna-
you know, put our special cap on and go elsewhere. And again, my opinion only, I think what you're doing is spectacular. So, and I hope a lot of people are tuning in today and drawing in support of this, but I really want to understand about the fundraising that you're doing now with your Children's Hour campaign, because this just doesn't come from out of the sky. And so
no.
when you draw, you also remember, everybody here, you just imagine peace and gratitude, peace and gratitude. And then you'll see more of it, because that's how it works. The brain starts to look for it in the outer world.
Yeah.
Spirit then, or the universe, matches it. So tell me all about the campaign, please.
Yeah, if you allow me, I need to talk about Children's Day, or Children's Day before, so
Perfect.
people understand. I
Awesome.
realized I left the operation of Breakfast Hub in 2022, and wanted to do a last signature. So I wanted to know what's going on with Children's Day. I remember Children's Day was voted in 71 years ago, but
And
when
it's in
I
all over the world, right?
yeah, and it
Yeah.
was a UN
United
vote,
Nations.
and but I start looking everywhere. Nothing much was happening. So we start looking at the domain name. Nobody would took them, the
Right.
childrensday.com, and so we reserve all of that. And I went to one of the agencies of the UN in Rome, and I said, "What are you doing with Children's Day?" And they said, "Oh, we tried this. Okay, can I give a shot at it?" Me, Children's Day, I'm not going to be the leader of it. I'm 61 years old, but I want to initiate it. So November 20th is Children's Day. It's hardly like when you ask people, they have no
I
idea.
didn't even know. Well, I
I
did know,
know.
but until a few years ago, I didn't know what it was.
Can you imagine that? Like,
Yeah.
of all the day, we forgot children.
Mm.
So I start working with a team and with other countries like Brazil, like USA, like Kenya and others, and to, to say, let's make Children's Day relevant and give it to children. Let have a board, advisory board of 18 to 25 who will lead it. It will make it their voice, their platform, and their voice. So this year, we're going to announce on November 20th that 2026 will be the day where Children's Day will become relevant as many countries as possible. The US
Right. Perfect.
is in June and so forth. So there's a campaign that we're launching called Children's Hour, where we want to ask every citizen in Canada that is able to do it to give 1 hour of their income a year, Children's Hour. That's all.
Oh, what a good idea.
Yeah. So 1 hour of your income a year, Children's Hour. And the reason why is, yes, we want to celebrate children on Children's Day, but we also want to make sure that we also want to hear about children, what they want to see change.
Right.
Would they put money if they would have money? Which organization? We're not asking them to start one, but use the one that are there. Is it education? Is it, I don't know, young girl, young woman? Is it on sexual? Is it on a native or so forth? So we want people to raise, and we want this advisory board of young people to recommend stuff that they want to see change under their watch. Of
So
course, it
this
will
is this
go
is
ahead.
a younger group of people who are going to be on the board. How old are they?
Well, the board is the board, and the younger people will be an advisory board.
Oh, I
And
see. And how old will they
eventually,
be?
they'll be 18 to 25.
That's great because
Yeah,
they are fresh out of their teenage years and
yeah, yeah.
understand that we may not understand. I get
And
it.
we're creating a board, an advisory board of 12 to 17 connected to them. So they got the fresh
Wow.
idea, the new things, because even them, they become, not as cool at 18 to
No, I get
25.
it. I get it.
So we want to connect them and give them a voice. Children
Great.
are the only category of people who don't have an
Don't have
official
a
voice.
voice.
So
Yeah.
because of that, when the government takes going on election, they will say, we promise that for young people. But when they have to cut something, that's where they're
That's
going to
where they
cut, because
cut.
they don't have
That
a
and the
union
arts.
who's going to manifest. You shouldn't do that, and so forth. So we want this day to become relevant. We want this day to become important, and we want this day to become significant as a platform and a voice for young people.
Great. Excellent. Wow. Okay. Well, so there you go. So if every person is watching this, that were to take one small inspired action to support any kind of kids charity, think about that. What kind of new life could you give these kids, right? So, and it does, and I like that you said that it's basically any charity, any charity, local charity that supports
Yeah,
your kids.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's really important too.
And young people will decide, maybe on one year they're going to put a lot of money on mental health. I don't know.
Mental health.
Maybe
Well, we
because
know
he
that a
has
lot
to
of
come,
kids have
he
mental
has
health
to come
problems.
from them. In some country like Africa, they're going to go on sex trafficking because it's a reality. I
There,
don't
yeah.
know. So we need to. I
Hear
know
from
that.
them.
Yeah, and
Hear
I
from them.
work with
Yeah.
the First Lady of Kenya. I work with the President of Congo and all those countries because they want to see Children's Day become relevant. I'm going to the U.S. on Tuesday, and I know there's a lot of challenge, but me, I represent children's. I'm provoking this government to do something on Children's Day in the
Yeah.
U.S. And Europe is getting together. There's people from Europe coming to meet me in Montreal next week after I
Ah,
come back from the U.S. And South America is getting organized, so
so is it
people can.
worldchildrensday.com?
Yes, worldchildrensday.com. They have ways of giving, but I know it's complicated for people sometimes. So I'm sure you're gonna find a way to write it very simply. You click, you make $20 an hour. That's all we want. We don't
Yeah,
want you
20
to
bucks.
give once a
That's right.
week,
That makes a lot of sense.
once a year.
Easy.
That's it. Once a
Very
year
easy.
during around Children's Day, give your 1 hour, and we'll make sure that children feel that they are important. They feel that they can, make their voice heard, and they can have their own change under their watch.
What an inspiring human you are. And what an incredible story, how you've turned your life around and what you are doing for our country's kids and also for the world's kids. You have deserved every medal that you've received.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for
Thank you.
watching. Information about how to learn more about World Children's Day is somewhere here. And I'm going to give everybody a big hug. And thank you so much, Daniel, for doing this today.
Thank you very
Bless
much.
you and good
Thank you.
luck.
Bless you.